typically girls. We do have a doctor here, but then I guess the doctor was in a hurry, so he's left. So I don't even have time to ask him. Hopefully I should get to meet him later. Yeah. About me, to begin with, I'm told when I was born, my grandmother said Sairam. So my name is Sairam. That's how it is. And singing, if you ask me when I started singing, again people say you came out crying. Not crying, singing. So that's the way. I've been singing right since my childhood. As a kid, my voice used to sound like that of a girl's. Most of the boys sound like those. With me, it's an extended adolescence or whatever you call it. Actually, post-adolescence, the voice cracked, and that's when I started singing in a female, the proper male vocals. But with Swami's grace, I can manage both. It's more to do with the modulation of the falsetto. Again, I'm not going to give you samples now because it's not worth it. Really not. My throat is bad. But if you, again, go to YouTube, you'll find the songs and you'll know exactly how the female vocals sound. I did go through the natural transition problem. No. How many of you know Hindi? Yeah, it's like neither here nor there type of a voice, and then it takes its own course to settle. With me, it was a little more traumatizing because it was very Swedish. Did you guys heard me sing like that before? I've sang Allah Teruna all by myself in the female vocals. And the transition was a bit difficult because all those elders who used to encourage me as a child, you sing so beautifully, you've got such a mellifluous voice. The same people turned into detractors the minute I got into adolescence. Oh, okay, no, the prodigy is faded off, whatever, get back to studies. Get serious, boy. Now I'm a young man type. And I was still growing, so I couldn't take that drastic change of behavior yet. But I would thank them because it's because of these so-called detractors that I could sit back and I would fight with Bhajan literally. And I one-to-one with him was like, how dare you types. So why did you give it to me in the first place and now you've taken it back? Those kinds. So just to prove a point, I used to sit before him and I used to try and sing in the so-called female. It should be like that, which naturally sounding good. The intercomish tone. I should say, all that probably worked and somewhere he felt, okay, no, I caught him at the right time, he was in a good mood. Okay, take two for the price of one. So he said, enjoy. And so I was like, able to actually get back my so-called sweet voice. And at the same time, the robust, the manly tone, boyish tone, what do you call it. So I'm able to oscillate between both, very nice. To the extent I've started giving playback in the female vocals as well, which is quite a challenge back home in India. Here in the UK or the States, wherever, talent is taken as talent. They don't measure it with any other medium. You have it, you don't, whatever. There you have to go through a lot more. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard about the cockroach trying to climb up, they pull you down and those kind of things. So when you talk about being able to sing in that, then they'll say something wrong with your male vocals or your system for that matter. And if you're a man singing the female, then why not call him female and why call him male for that matter? I mean, those kinds. They don't see as what your voice is and how it is. So much happens. I'm sure it happens in all fields in life. So I went through that. Luckily, I've come out of it, and today it's being taken seriously, and I'm actually giving vocals, female vocals, as well. Like I'm singing for the heroine of the movie. Anyways, it's called playback, so my contention was I'm anyways playing it back, what's your problem? But they don't seem to understand that. So, you don't expect a Lata Mangeshkar to run around the bushes, right? And trees, or a Rafi for that matter, but they sounded so much because it's more about, thank you. It's communication. Coming to bhajans. I asked Extras, what is bhajan? All are singing, isn't it? You can sit in the house and sing. Okay, we can have house bhajans as well. So, how is bhajan different from normal? Sangeet or songs. Can anybody just throw some thoughts? Anything offered to the Lord, like even food. Sadhana in South Indian, sadhana is food. Prasadam, the minute once it's offered to the Lord, it becomes prasadam. So when you do Brahmarpanam or Iyer or Krishna, any Arpanam, it becomes immediately sanctified. That's what we believe. Isn't it? Be it a coffee, even it be a beer or whatever, I don't know. I don't drink, I'm a teetotaler for your information. But I believe anything that's offered to the Almighty, to the Lord. In Gandhiji's words, there is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. Now I'm not a voracious reader, mind it. I was in the school, I was chosen for elocution competition. A day before the competition, I was given this book of all the things in the world, my experiences with truth. I think it was that. And this is the stanza which was chosen and given to me. And out of that, again, I remember only this, which didn't mean anything to me at that point in time. I used to be, there is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. And I used to put in all the accent and whatever. That's the way children do. They wouldn't understand a word of what it is. I did that, and I was chosen also. That's a different issue altogether. But it took me some 20 odd years to get back to that and say, oh, this is what it meant. And today it means a lot more to me, and so I can see why that stanza was chosen for me. So we call him God, we call him Allah, whatever name you call him. It's basically human. We are the ones who are given in the name. Humans are given the names. You don't have to. It's a mysterious power that pervades everything. Again, in English, I'm able to explain this because I've been taught in that medium. My English might not be the way it is spoken in the UK, but supposed to be that way. So we communicate the way we are taught. Bhajans are what we are taught. They're basically words glorifying the Almighty. It's like you're talking to your boss or anybody who's bleeding. You turn it into a basic poetry and talk to them. How would it be? Hey, I need a leave. Hey, I need a leave. I'm going on a break, man. If you say that, I don't think you're going to get it. The leave won't be sanctioned, right? Officially. So there's a way which is being laid down. So to make things easy, even prayers in Sanskrit, actually if you see, all of these, they've got a meaning. The ones who don't know, they will tell you. Every statement that's made in Sanskrit for everything, there is a meaning to it. So, in whatever language you decide to glorify the Almighty's name, it's written. First, someone writes it. Then to make it more appealing, a tune is set to it. Be it a romantic number. Now, any song, a Bollywood song, can be dedicated to the Lord. The problem is people are God-fearing. I think I was taught, you must be God-loving. The minute he becomes your friend, it becomes very easy, I tell you. I think Arjuna, he shared that with Krishna, and that was the best thing that could happen to him. He could share the innermost secrets with Krishna. I mean, this is what we have got to know. Similarly, in music, how many of you follow Bollywood music? Most of you. Western? I'm sure all of you. Why do you find Mariah or Rafi or Lata or Anasha a lot more, you feel you're able to relate to them than so many other singers today? You like them. We say the classical prose. Jitna harkat, you try and make it as intricate as possible. In one line you put everything that you can. Pura ghusai show that I know everything. Everything. I mean, when you sing, look how much of panditya I have. I was taught that as a kid. I mean, not taught really. Most of the uncles and aunties I heard they were trying to do that. So I thought this is probably the best way to convince God. So I like singing like that. You give me a version, I'll make it as intricate and difficult. Nobody should be able to follow me. Make it so difficult that they're like dumbstruck. That means I'm great. That's the way it works. Most of the times. And this is what I actually saw back home. I don't want to blame anybody, but that's the way it was. There are two things that have pierced through my system. I was doing a light vocal diploma at the University of Mumbai, and I happened to be one of the best vocalist students. vocal students. So for any competition or any event, I would automatically be chosen as the performing artist. There was a competition for which again we had an audition. They had to have an audition. There was one from classical, one from light, semi, and all these people are congregated. And from all among them, there's one person who's supposed to be representing the university at a level. I got chosen. Can I say I was overconfident that I would be chosen? Something like that. I knew nobody else was matching up to the levels that I sang. Later on, the head of the department, who never taught me anything in music otherwise, he happened to meet me and congratulate me for having been chosen. But he gave me a beautiful example which remains with me to date. I mean, if I know him, there are two reasons. One is what I shared with Biju where he blasted me. The other one is this. Blasted me for some other reason, not that I really faltered. But this is relevant here. He said, Sairam, which I want to throw this question to you. There is a beautiful lady, and you have the best of ornaments, jewels, everything kept in the side. A beautiful lady, the best of ornaments. And you've been asked to use your abilities to adorn her, to make her look more beautiful. Are you going to use all those ornaments on her from top to bottom? Diamonds, jewels, gold. Ask for it and you have it. Right from crown to the pile or even the toes for that matter. Please, I thought this was an introduction.
No, you use whatever is appropriate. You wouldn't use the entire set of jewelry because then it might be much.
Why wouldn't you use all the jewelry?
Because there's a chance that it might look too much or it's over decorative rather than the actual.
Most importantly, you lose the original. I think.
Okay.
You lose the original beauty.
You adore her the way you think will look most beautiful. So it's your interpretation.
Interpretation. You have all the choices that you want. What I mean is, loads of jewelry. I can take all the jewelry and decorate, cover all of it. What I mean is, how much will you use basically? Your own interpretation, as you said, that's right. And what he meant was it would be too much, too gaudy and too clever. Yeah, that's the general say. And you just mentioned
That we will lose our original beauty.
original beauty.
Put too much on.
Yes. No. Jewelry, ornaments are supposed to enhance the beauty of a person. That's not. In itself, if there is a jewelry exhibition, then a jewelry piece is supposed to be the item of appreciation. You look at each jewelry piece and you appreciate it. But here it's a human being, it's going to accentuate, it's just going to make it a little more beautiful. So, flowers and all these abhushan, as you call it in Hindi and Sanskrit, this is used to make it a little more. Like Swami's photograph, we put a few garlands. Oh, look at Swami himself. Does anybody know why he's using? Have you seen his the robe that he wears? Generally, we wear a kurta, even if this is wooden ones, or you have this. I think most of us, we've got 5 buttons. Yeah. Do you notice Swami's robe? It's got only 2.
Yeah, this one has got one.
No, all of them has got. They've all got only 2. Swami.
Never noticed that.
Swami wears or does anything that he did was only for all of us, for his devotees. If you prayed probably, Swami, you need to be bald, I'm sure you would have shed all his hair. That's the way Bhajan is. We've had our own interactions with Bhajan and he has conveyed to us, spoken to us at various levels and told us all these things. They all wanted, the ones who believed he is God and the ones who have been in and around with him, they said, you should have a silk robe of yours every day, so that it can be given to others as blessings, things like that. So he changed his dresses every day. I mean, we used to wear various robes. There again, when they insisted on so many, and that too in gold. They want gold, diamond, befitting God. he said, okay, I'll listen to you, but the bare minimum to hold this robe is 2. When he spoke about minimalistic needs to others, how could he himself not do it first? So Bhagavan, those 2, they keep the whole robe in place. I mean, it doesn't pop out and it looks elegant and nice. Isn't it? The robe, when we look at it now as a whole, and Bhagavan. If you had diamonds twinkling here from 4 or 5 of them, you think the attention will be drawn towards Bhagavan or the diamonds? Right? Now we are able to admire his face and the smile and the overall beauty of the job. And we are able to see only those 2 buttons. That's because I mentioned them. Otherwise, I think nobody notices them even. Isn't it great? They are doing their job of holding the robe in place. Dignity in place. All in place. Simplicity. Simplicity personified. I don't think there's anything else. Isn't it? That's our Bhava. So, this proves a point. So when it even comes to jewelry, it is supposed to levels and try and help you out. So it's mutually understood. Essentially, the singer has to be comfortable singing highs and the lows of his song.
But then there is a natural key or a natural note for a bhajan.
Not for bhajan, sorry. It's for individually the scales do.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is that
There's nothing like one standard scale for a bhajan. No. The ladies' vocals are totally different.
No, what I'm saying is that although you can sing a bhajan in a slightly lower pitch because that is your natural range, the bhajan doesn't sound good. It doesn't
Not
sound
necessarily. It can be good. Depends on the technique you sing, how you sing it. For that you need, unfortunately, in the bhajan sessions we don't have much time for. Today I took the liberty of giving her the scales that was comfortable for me and the tabla that was tuned and you could adjust, seeking the permission, of course. Many times in bhajans, they just start off inside bhajans because to follow a certain discipline. In such situations, I would recommend that the harmonium player and the singers who are supposed to sing that afternoon or evening in that session should have a session before the bhajan to determine the scales in which they will be singing. So even before you can start, the harmonium player can give you the key for that. So
that is exactly what we do.
That's good. That's the best way to do it. But please don't follow a certain singer just because of the range that they have.
I think what Brother is trying to say is there's certain bhajans. Like I'm the bhajan coach in the center. What we try to do, we are training musicians as well. And what we try to do is set certain bhajans because we have our experience, we have a lot of experience with bhajan singing. Certain bhajans, like the sister had mentioned now, that she cannot sing high. What we don't encourage is that to sing too low bhajans, even if it suits them, because training needs to be invoked, and we want to get people more equipped with their, with their vocal ranges and things so that they change. So now what we try to do is that if they sing a bhajan too low, if it's just suited for them, the rest of the congregation finds it very, very low. And what happens to the bhajan? The bhajan becomes tamasic in nature.
Actually, here, for example. Now, this is where it's something that you take a call on, because musically, if you ask me, kind of training that we have had over the years, vocal cords are not supposed to be stretched over a certain limit. Each of us has got our own limits. We need to follow that, because the minute you do more than that, it damages your vocal cords and you start getting vibrato and your voice goes tired, exhausted, and it's not good for your throat. About the congregation now, I know even of bhajans which are sung. Now, every song can be sung in various highs and the lows. A sing Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I've sung the same note, same key, the lower octave. So the people following can do that in case you have to. Now, we need to strike a balance between the kind of songs that we sing and the tempo and the vigor and the strength. Agreed. So we could probably decide to have these singers, the ones who are not able to sing too high in the softies, can begin with. You could probably give them the first session, the first few. I'm just giving you a suggestion. And then make sure that all the powerful singers, the ones who can really carry it off, take off accelerated ones, they can sing later. These are the things that we practice back home. This is to encourage all of them to participate. Otherwise, what happens is there are just a few of them who are left singing there every time. The rest are left. Then we have what we do. Now, there's another Sairam in our group who doesn't have as much range as I do, or he's not as trained as a singer, but he's got a lot more of collection of bhajans. So when we did youth conventions, we used to both sing together. So it's complementing each other. So there's no ego problem. We have to be in unison. So there's a person helping out. So you can have two such singers singing a bhajan together. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. We have regularly done it. We have two singers, me and the other Sairam. So Sairam and Sairam singing songs, irrespective of how well I can sing or how bad he is. This is just. But
That's
he's
how they
good
do
at his own way.
Shanti. Yeah.
That's good, very good. That's the way you should be. Because bhajan is essentially to please the Lord and to have the bhakti rasa in place. It's not to prove your prowess.
So,
Unless you're not singing a solo.
so that's a good idea. For example, if there is, we do that sometimes in our
We've
bhajan.
already started suggesting it, but it's not.
So what we find is if there are
Already
people who
suggested
sing
that.
together, the bhajan sounds amazing.
Good, that's good, it can. And it's so good. More people get opportunity.
But
And
it's
the I factor is
it's more difficult than it sounds.
Practice. No, it is just for the coordination factor. What you can do is, those two singers, if it's decided they'll be singing in this next bhajan or whatever session, but they can at least meet up.
What is the range of vocals? There's a scale.
That's exactly. That's
what
what
it
the
is.
coordinators need to
Practice is
do.
very
To sit and practice. So two singers of the same range can sing together. So there is a lot more of, audibility and a lot of depth in that.
We are out of time. Another 2 minutes. One request. Anesh was from the time we had told him you're coming to bhajans. Anesh was asking me if you could sing Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
I just can't. Look, it sounds pathetically bad. I mean it. And it's not that I'm trying to be pricey at all. Keep this off for a while.
Yes.
And I'll tell you how it sounds. I need it to.
It's off.
It's off. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's off facing me, so I don't know what's happening.
Sorry.
It's not that I don't
No,
want
I know. The next part of the question was that is that if you can, because I know you, I've been traveling with you, so I know your voice is. But if you can't, it's okay. You're fine.
We keep it for next week.
No.
No.
It's as bad.
Yeah.
I mean it.
No, Sairam, it's okay.
No.
Please. And I'm not the type who's gonna. I did that yesterday. I don't know who was there in Birmingham. I'm sure there's someone there. Did you hear me sing there? I was struggling a lot also when it came to the human vocals. But then at the same time, I didn't manage because it was the later half of the day, a little warming up and things like that. And then I haven't slept for 3 hours hardly 3.5 hours last night. So it's unrested. One thing.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one question?
Please do.
So we talked about technique, we talked about Baba, and none of those things can happen without the effort on the bhajan singer's part. So you take anything in life, if you want to be good at it, you've got to practice.
Of course.
So there are a number of people that want to sing, but
Okay,
time
now
is a problem.
give some quickies. I know we're falling short of time. If you're talking about now, this comes to voice culture and things like that. So I need to have a proper workshop on that. Basic thing that helps you, which I practice myself, is humming. Hum. Scale doesn't matter. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're on the pot, wherever. Any scale, humming helps. It soothes your voice. Soothing. It helps. Now, Om originally used A, O, U, vowels. Don't drag it too much. And it should be a comforting experience. Singing is supposed to be comforting you. It should not hurt you in any fashion. The minute it starts hurting you anywhere, means you're wrong. You're hurting yourself. It has to be a pleasurable experience. So take any scale and the ha factor, the air factor. Try to bring in and use your nose a bit. It's very difficult for me to now encapsulate it for you today, but I'm just giving you a gist of it. Now, this one, it hurts me and it irritates years. More soothing, and I can go longer. That's because there's a lot of air in it, a little nasal tinge to it. It's neither that. It's neither that's wrong. It's rounded. So that happens when you use the air factor, a little of nasal tinge to it, a combination of both. And like Sayallahu Akbar tum ho. I touch that note. Now Sayallah. It's shouting. And a lot more of energy was required. I'm exhausting myself. I'm hurting all of your eardrums. And you don't have to shout. It's about how you it's technique. So it's about using the various facets of your throat, your stomach, the diaphragm, and the head. All the three are used when you sing, basically. When you sing the low notes, you can't sing from the throat. You have to use your stomach. That it comes from the stomach. It's from here, you can feel it. Now it's the head. I can't do it from here. So the facets are used. For this, it's a longer process and exercise. Just to give you a gist of it, that's the way it goes when it comes to singing. Including accompaniment of whatever. In a congregation, it has to be as basic and simple. And then, when you have an opportunity to play during the music segments, that's when you show your pieces and your solo abilities. Wherever. So the basic chords, when they're given. Now, the way you sing might be different from the way I sing. I'm sure most of the bhajans that I sang was a different take on the bhajans you sing yourself. Or even the words might differ. Even an arati is different, sung differently in Prashanti Nilan here. Paramam Pavitram or Om Tat Sat Shri, Sarvatrama prayer. Why did I give the mind back? Because I knew your style would be different from what we sing. So I didn't want that kind of a clash happening here. Just because I'm a singer, so-called professional singer. So I'm no smarter than you all are. I need to go by the group. That's very important. So I should not crush myself. But when I'm singing a bhajan and people have to follow, I can sing my portions, you can sing the way you want. So it's fine. Because I knew when you followed me, it was a bit different from what I sang. It's fine. Okay? I hope most of the things, though we could, within the limited time, we can't address all of it. Just a little of sharing. Yeah. Thank you so much. Sairam.
Sairam.